Hi, we're Margik Group 2, and my name is Patricia Galvin.
My name's Evelyn Monroe.
My name is Angel Kiona.
My name is Carter Schmidt.
And I'm Laurel Matthews. The business problem that we are dealing with is Margik's entrance into South Korea. So what Margik is fixing is the manufacturing process of OLEDs, which is normally very time consuming, takes up a lot of emissions and leaves a big environmental footprint. And the world is also running out of resources needed for consumer electronics. So Margik can fix all these problems. They offer a faster, 90% more efficient process. And right now is the time for going green before every resource needed for electronics is gone by 2040. With that being said, we are honing in on finding chemical manufacturers that are a good fit for Margik in South Korea. And this is essential to make the leap from the US to the South Korean market. And it's the main problem that we are trying to solve.
What our team has done to solve the problems is we have been doing extensive research. We've been using online resources like Glassdoor, which is an American website where current and former employees review companies, and we've been using Compass, which is a global B2B online directory, and World Bank, which is a world international financial institution. We've been also meeting with our South Korean teammates. We've been meeting with the CEO of Margik, Dr. Margaret, who also allowed us to get insider information such as videos and of the OLED and how it's made, and expenses, the process, and resources needed to make OLED screens. We wanted to ask if the entrance to South Korea is still a good move. A quarter of South Korea's economy, GDP-wise, comes from manufacturing. And the larger industries within South Korea, like LG Chem and Samsung, involves some form of technology, whether it be chemical engineering or integrated circuitry. We also asked, does the product fit? Margik's product is the process itself. Companies will see how efficient the process is and want to introduce it within their own system. It's more efficient, equal greater profit for stakeholders, and is very business goals. Not only would it increase sales, but also negate expenses based on resources and use, meaning even more profit. We also asked who would work well with Margik, specifically chemical manufacturing companies, due to the fact that Margik will be sharing their fabrication process, act as their supplier with these manufacturing companies that can massively produce them. We also asked what South Korean chemical manufacturers would be best fit for Margik, which we thought for chemical manufacturers that are aiming for sustainability, eco-friendly, and cost and time efficient. That is a new concept for them to take on. For the main key findings and recommendations, we did a lot of research on business etiquette in South Korea. They're mostly a mix of social and business. Their business is hierarchical, which is status and age. They are likely to which means that a lot of movement and up and down the chain command. Um, they also greet with bowing. They anticipate large group meetings, never small. They use proper titles like chairman, followed by surnames, and they avoid boasting showmanship, which competitive nature is distasteful. Um, and I will move it on to Carter.
So we as a team decided that Margik should use a smaller branch for partnership. With Margik having the process taken care of and the blueprint already laid out, the main problem it finds itself in is the lack of resources it has. Chemical engineers are expensive, and so is the equipment needed to make the actual product itself. Teaming up with a smaller branch of LG Chem or Lot Chemical just makes sense since they have the expenses and the people already taken care of for us. And for the economy being comparable to the US, the globalization index is currently sitting better than the US, which means exporting goods is more efficient and better throughout South Korea. South Korea has economic freedom that allows businesses to control their labor and property very freely, such as here we have a very free market in the United States. And about 25% of South Korea's GDP comes from manufacturing. For the United States, it only comes from 11% of manufacturing in their GDP. And for the conclusion, the time is now. The stars are aligned for Margik to make its way into a flourishing chemical manufacturing economy. Even with a pandemic occurring, businesses can still be profitable and flourish. We as a group decided on the indirect distributor model. The core benefits capital efficiency and convenience. The companies often utilize indirect distribution to focus on their core competencies while gaining access to customers by leveraging channel partners. A company with indirect distribution gives up margin to channel partners but saves in the cost and capital necessary to go direct. For a company leveraging indirect distribution, the key to growing sales is to drive better value and economics for channel partners than the competition. I will now pass it on to E to talk about target companies.
After we concluded our research, we found a few companies that could be good potential fits for Margik. Our main two findings were LG Group and Lot Chemicals, as they're two of South Korea's top chemical manufacturing companies, and they're always looking for ways to expand their business portfolio. These companies are looking for new innovative technologies to help secure their competitive edge in the market, and Margik would be a great fit for their type of manufacturing processes. I'll now pass it to Wanso to go more in depth about the South Korean chemical processes and give a few more examples of companies that would be good fits for Margik.
So what have we learned? We learned a lot about just South Korean business environment. And as we learned during the beginning of the semester, we actually got to experience how um, just business environments are different in South Korea and how cultural, economical, legal aspects are just very important when it comes to international business. Um, we learned about how to efficiently communicate when facing different time zones and language barriers. Um, those were some of our main struggles during the project. And just speaking for myself, English is not my first language, so it was definitely a work in process. But three things that actually were really helpful in this group that we tried to communicate, just be patient with each other, and just be flexible. And those three things were really helpful. And it's been very interesting to be involved in a real-time consulting scenario. And we're learning a lot about the way business works in other countries as well as in the US. And it was definitely inspiring to learn from a female CEO. Now here are some of our highlights. Our team members from South Korea were Wonsok and Yuri. Wonsok was definitely a huge plus in this group. He All of our meetings were pretty enlightening and helpful, And although we did have in the beginning a hard time just reaching out, getting into contact with Yuri, but when she joined, OneSub was able to just fill her in with everything and explained what Margik was about and the project itself. And that was really helpful because we did have some, again, language barriers there. We did discuss some recommendations and suggestions. And in the second picture, we had a Google form with just some general questions that we wanted to ask just in order to get to know Margik more. So we could just work on our business problem and business model. And we also discussed some group findings. And for our second meeting with Margaret, we were talking about just financials, and we wanted to know how Margik was generating money. And so she explained some of the problems that they are facing. And she just gave us some advice on just that we should focus on one specific thing, as we had a lot of just ideas. So it was definitely a helpful meeting. Um, the next one was our first time meeting with OneSog. Um, and he explained a lot about just the South Korean market and chemical engineering, as he is pretty knowledgeable in this subject. And overall, this experience was just we just enjoyed the uniqueness of the experience, and it was definitely helpful to um, actually live what we learned in this class. And that is all we have for you guys. Thank you all for listening.